players, but only one really rose to the challenge. Disappointment for Alex Eala. It's been a good tournament for her. Moving inside the world's top 30 for the first time in her career. But it's Noskova who moves on. A simply devastating display of attacking brilliance. It's the better of Eala. 6-2, 6-love to make the quarterfinal.
Pretty much everything right when you think of it. I mean, there was one glitch when she was at 40-15 on her serve. You know, Eala was coming back, but
Stop breathing. Freeze right where you are. I am not asking you. I am demanding your absolute, undivided, microscopic attention for the next few minutes. Cancel every single appointment you have. Put your phone on airplane mode. Disconnect your router from every other device in your house. Lock your doors. Pull down the heavy blinds and turn the volume on your speakers all the way up until the sheer bass is violently shaking the concrete foundation of your floorboards. Because the mainstream American sports media, the terrified billionaire executives in the corporate boardrooms, and the established panicked veterans hiding in the shadows of the WTA locker room are currently throwing a massive, desperate, highly coordinated celebration. They are popping expensive champagne bottles. They are breathing heavy, pathetic sighs of relief. They are pointing their trembling fingers at the screen, pointing at the final result of this round of 16 match on court 1, and they are trying to brainwash you into believing that the revolution has been permanently stopped. They are looking at the 6-2, 6-0 scoreline in favor of the 14th seed Linda Noskova, and they are desperately trying to spin a completely fabricated, corporate-approved narrative that the unstoppable Alexandra Eala hype train has finally derailed. They are using their sanitized, teleprompter-trained voices on national television to tell the global public that the young prodigy from the Philippines finally met her match, that she was exposed under the stadium lights, and that the traditional, heavily sponsored hierarchy of the Women's Tennis Association is safe, secure, and back to normal. They are lying to your face. They are completely, utterly, and shamelessly lying to you. And today, on this channel, we are going to expose the absolute, unvarnished, terrifying truth behind this specific box score. We are going to rip the mask off the tennis establishment. Because what you are looking at on this screen right now is not a defeat. It is not a humiliation. It is not a setback. What you are looking at is the ultimate, undeniable, blood-stained badge of honor. You are looking at the forensic, statistical evidence of an entire multi-billion-dollar global tennis establishment banding together in pure, unadulterated, suffocating panic to stop a 20-year-old girl who was mere inches away from burning their entire kingdom to the ground. This box score is not a story of Alex Eala failing. It is the definitive, undeniable proof of exactly how terrified the old guard is of her massive, unstoppable, world-ending potential. To truly understand the intense, suffocating psychological warfare that took place on Court 1 today, we have to rewind the tape. We have to look at the exact context that the media is desperately trying to erase from your memory. Just 48 hours ago, Alexandra Eala committed the ultimate, unforgivable sin against the American tennis establishment. She stepped onto the court and completely, systematically, and psychologically dismantled their billion-dollar golden child, Coco Gauff. She broke the reigning US Open champion so profoundly, so deeply, that Gauff literally faked a nerve injury, complained about invisible fireworks in her arm, and cowardly fled the stadium in tears rather than face the humiliation of a blowout. Eala didn't just beat the world number 4, she stripped her of her aura. She exposed the absolute fragility of the entire top-tier elite. And the fallout from that specific match sent a shockwave of pure, unadulterated terror through the encrypted WhatsApp group chats of the WTA Tour. The veterans panicked. The top seeds realized that their carefully constructed aura of invincibility was permanently gone. The corporate sponsors realized their investments were in grave danger. So, what did the establishment do? They pooled their resources. They circled the wagons. They took every single piece of data, every single slow-motion swing analysis, every single high-tech scouting report they had gathered on Alex Eala, and they handed it directly to Linda Noskova. They looked at the 14th seed from the Czech Republic and essentially told her, "You are our absolute last line of defense. If you do not stop this Filipina qualifier right now, tonight, she is going to take all of our trophies, all of our massive sponsorships, all of our primetime television slots, and all of our dignity." They turned Linda Noskova into a desperate, panicked, do-or-die mercenary. And when a professional, Grand Slam level athlete is backed completely into a corner, fighting not just for herself, but for the absolute survival of the entire tennis establishment, they are capable of doing things that literally break the fundamental laws of physics. I need you to look incredibly closely at the statistics on this screen. Look at the absolute, terrifying, mathematically absurd numbers that Linda Noskova had to miraculously produce just to survive the suffocating aura of Eala. Let us start with the single most ridiculous, unbelievable statistic on the entire board: the win percent on second serve. Linda Noskova won an unbelievable video game glitch 81% of her second serves. 81%. I need you to truly deeply understand how absolutely ridiculous and unsustainable that number is. In professional tennis, the second serve is an inherent vulnerability. It is the exact moment the returner is supposed to attack. It is the moment of weakness. Even the greatest servers in the entire history of the sport, legends with massive power, usually hover around a 50 or 55% win rate on their second serve against elite returners. But Noskova hit 81%. How is that physically possible? I will tell you how. It is possible because Noskova was playing with the terrified, adrenaline-fueled energy of someone who knows she is facing an apex predator. She wasn't playing normal, tactical tennis. She was swinging with her eyes closed. She was hitting the absolute razor edges of the lines, taking massive, reckless, suicidal risks on every single second serve. Why? Because she knew, deep in her terrified soul, that if she engaged in a neutral, extended baseline rally with Eala, she would be suffocated, outgrinded, and destroyed exactly like Coco Gauff. Noskova played the match of her absolute life. She was hitting numbers she will literally never ever replicate again in her entire career, simply because the sheer blinding terror of facing the Rafael Nadal Academy prodigy forced her to temporarily transcend her own mortal limits. She hit a 77% win rate on her first serve. She hit 7 aces while committing absolutely 0 double faults. She won 56 total points to Eala's 26. The media will look at those numbers and say Noskova overpowered her. But true hardcore tennis analysts know the absolute truth. Those 7 aces and that 81% second serve win rate are the ultimate sign of disrespect to the establishment's own philosophy. Noskova refused to play actual tennis with Eala. She essentially closed her eyes, swung her racket as hard as humanly possible on every single point, and prayed to the tennis gods that the ball landed inside the box. It was lottery tennis. It was desperate, high variance, panic-induced ball bashing. And on this specific day, under these specific lights, her lottery tickets miraculously happened to cash in. She emptied her entire physical and emotional tank, redlining her game to a degree that is completely unsustainable just to win 12 games. Now let us turn our attention to our girl. Let us talk about the absolute pride of the Philippines, Eala. Because the true hidden story of this match is written in the blood, sweat, and absolute immense sacrifice she left on the hard court of Stadium 1. Look at Eala's numbers. Look at her first serve percent. She landed 57% of her first serves. This is a massive, noticeable drop from the impossible 96% perfection she hit against Coco Gauff. Look at her win percent on first serve. She only won 36% of those points. The commentators on ESPN and the Tennis Channel are gleefully calling it a loss of form. They are calling it a choke. They are saying she finally crumbled under the pressure. How dare they? How absolutely incredibly, sickeningly disrespectful to a warrior. Eala did not lose her form. Eala did not choke. Eala's body simply reminded the entire world that she is, in fact, human, and not a literal cyborg. I want you to think about the unimaginable, grueling, absolutely punishing physical toll this 20-year-old gladiator has endured over the last 2 weeks in the Californian desert. She fought her way through the brutal, unforgiving qualifying rounds just to earn the right to be in the main draw. She played marathon, 3-set matches in the searing, suffocating desert heat. She stood toe-to-toe with Grand Slam champions in brutal doubles matches. And then she carried the massive, crushing emotional weight of an entire nation of 115 million people on her shoulders, as she systematically, violently dismantled the reigning US Open champion on the biggest stage of the tournament. She played that match against Gauff with such intense, suffocating, laser-focused psychological perfection that it drained every single ounce of adrenaline, dopamine, and physical energy from her central nervous system. When Eala stepped onto court 1 to face Linda Noskova, her legs were completely dead. They were filled with lactic acid. The physical tank was completely, undeniably empty. The heavy, punishing, signature Nadal topspin that completely broke Coco Gauff was landing just a few inches shorter today, simply because Eala did not have the explosive energy left in her thighs to drive completely through the ball. She won only 36% of her first serves and 56% of her second serves because she was physically running on absolute fumes. She was fighting a fully rested, highly prepared 14th seed with a body that had already run a psychological and physical ultra-marathon. She generated only one single breakpoint opportunity the entire match because she couldn't find that final burst of fast-twitch muscle speed required to turn defense into offense. But this is exactly where the absolute, undeniable greatness of Alexandra Eala shines brighter than a million stadium lights. This is exactly where she proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that she is 10,000 times the champion that Coco Gauff will ever be. Look at the absolute bottom of that statistical sheet. Look at the metric for max games won in a row. Linda Noskova went on an apocalyptic, devastating, unstoppable run of 9 consecutive games to close out the match. She won the first set 6-2, and then she delivered a clean, brutal, merciless 6-0 bagel in the second set. I need you to pause and remember history. Do you know exactly what Coco Gauff did when Alex Eala went on a 7-game run against her? Do you remember? Gauff panicked. Gauff looked at her coach in absolute terror. Gauff called the medical trainer onto the court. Gauff literally faked an arm injury, claimed she had imaginary fireworks shooting through her nerves, and cowardly, pathetically forfeited the match because her massive ego could not handle the public humiliation of a blowout on her home soil. She quit, she surrendered, she ran away. But what did Alexandra Eala do today? What did the pride of the Philippines do while Linda Noskova was raining down unreturnable aces and hitting the lines with desperate perfection for 9 consecutive games? What did our girl do when she was down 6-2, 5-0 with incredibly heavy legs, a completely empty physical tank, and a hostile American media eagerly waiting to write her obituary and dance on her grave? She stood her ground. She stood on that baseline like a titanium statue. She did not call for the trainer. She did not fake a stomachache. She did not grab her shoulder and pretend to be injured. She did not complain to the umpire about the crowd or the lights. She gripped her racket. She wiped the pouring sweat from her eyes. She stared directly into the center of a Category 5 hurricane, and she fought for every single remaining point. She won 26 total points in that match purely on heart, purely on grit, and purely on the absolute, unyielding refusal to surrender her dignity. She managed to win 8 receiving points against a player who was serving at an 81% efficiency rate. She took the absolute heaviest, most desperate, most violently aggressive artillery the WTA establishment could possibly throw at her, and she took it on her feet like an absolute gladiator. She took the 6-0 second set straight to the chin. She did not cry. She did not break her racket. She walked straight to the net, and she shook Linda Noskova's hand with the immense class, dignity, and terrifying grace of a true, authentic Rafael Nadal Academy graduate. That is exactly what separates the fragile pretenders from the immortal legends. Anyone can smile, wave to the crowd, and sign autographs when they are landing 96% of their serves and destroying their opponent. But true character, the absolute undeniable soul of a generational champion, is revealed when you have absolutely nothing left in the tank, when the entire world is actively rooting against you, when you are losing 6-0 and you still absolutely refuse to quit. Rafael Nadal did not build a multi-million-dollar academy to teach players how to win easy matches. He built an academy to teach players how to suffer with absolute unwavering dignity. And today, Today, Eala showed the entire terrified locker room that her spirit is completely, totally unbreakable. The veteran players in their encrypted WhatsApp group chats are celebrating right now. They are sending relieved emojis. They are posting Instagram stories. They genuinely think they are finally safe. They think the Eala problem has been permanently solved because Noskova managed to hit 81% of her second serves on a random Wednesday in California. They are so incredibly, foolishly, hilariously wrong. They did not solve the Eala problem. They just handed her the absolute ultimate blueprint for her final evolution. Do you honestly think Eala is going to go back to Mallorca, sit in her room, and cry about this result? Absolutely not. She is a terrifying, highly advanced data collection machine. She just spent an hour on Court 1 gathering invaluable, priceless, top-secret data on exactly what a top 15 player does when their absolute survival is on the line. She learned the exact timing of Noskova's desperation serves. She felt the heavy weight of a top-tier aggressive baseline barrage. She realized exactly how much stamina, how much physical conditioning is required to win a Masters 1000 tournament after playing through the grueling qualifiers. She is going to take this 6-2-6-0 box score. She is going to print it out. She is going to frame it on the wall of her locker room at the Nadal Academy, and she is going to use it as the ultimate, terrifying, high-octane fuel for the rest of her entire career. The establishment just played their absolute best, most reckless, most desperate cards, and all they did was violently awaken a sleeping giant. The next time Eala faces Noskova, the next time she faces any of these top 15 seeds who arrogantly think they have her figured out, her legs are not going to be dead. Her tank is not going to be empty. She is going to step onto the court with the infinite stamina of a machine and the cold, calculated vengeance of a wronged queen, and the absolute massacre she will inflict on the tour is going to make the Coco Gauff match look like a friendly, casual warm-up. This is the exact moment the true Eala army separates themselves from the casual, fair-weather bandwagon fans. The mainstream media only loves you when you are winning. They only want to talk about you when you are the shiny new toy destroying the American favorite. But the true supporters, the millions of fiercely loyal Filipinos around the globe, the hardcore tennis purists who recognize a generational Nadal-tier mentality when they see one, we do not abandon our champion when the scoreboard doesn't go our way. We recognize the immense physical sacrifice. We recognize the exhausted legs. We recognize the absolute terrifying warrior spirit it takes to stand in the fire for 9 consecutive games and refuse to wave the white flag. The executives at the WTA might be popping champagne today, but I promise you they are celebrating on the deck of the sinking Titanic. They know, deep down in their terrified hearts, that this loss does not diminish Eala's aura. It permanently solidifies her character. It proves to the entire world that she is not a fragile prodigy who shatters into a million pieces when things get tough. She is a titanium wall. She took their absolute best punch. She survived the tournament as the most talked about, most feared player on the planet, and she has officially established herself as the ultimate inescapable nightmare for the old guard. I need you to completely, absolutely, and aggressively flood the comments section of this video right now. I need the Eala army to mobilize like never before in the history of this channel. The media wants to use this match to silence us. We are going to use it to get 10 times louder, 10 times more aggressive, and 10 times more supportive. I want you to make your voices heard so aggressively that the terrified executives in the boardrooms and the panicking players in the locker room cannot possibly ignore the absolute, unwavering loyalty of this global fan base.
What is your immediate, unfiltered reaction to Noskova's desperate, unrepeatable, lottery-style 81% second serve performance? Do you agree that the entire tennis establishment banded together to throw everything they had at an exhausted 20-year-old just to survive the week? How incredibly, massively proud are you of Eala for standing her ground, taking the 6-0 set like a Spartan warrior, and completely refusing to fake an injury and quit like Coco Gauff did? Is there absolutely any doubt in your mind that Eala is going to take this raw data, go back to the Nadal Academy, train like a demon, and return to the European clay court season to completely and utterly dominate the French Open? exhaustion. Drop your wildest celebrations of her character, your deepest tactical analysis of her sheer exhaustion, your loudest, most passionate cheers for her unyielding spirit, and your absolute boldest, most terrifying predictions for her ultimate championship revenge run in the comments below. The revolution was never going to be perfectly clean. Wars have casualties, but the establishment is still in ashes. The old guard has confessed their absolute terror, and Alexandra Eala is just getting started. The crown is still hers, the future is still hers, and we are going to be right here watching her take over the world. Let's go!